Hi, good day everyone. So we are now on lesson 9, which is entitled as Tour Operator and Tour Package. So in this lesson, we're going to discuss the important role of tour operator in the travel cycle or to the industry of travel and tourism. So basically, they are the producer of, or the assembler rather, of the tour package that we are currently enjoying right now. So tour packages are defined as these are combinations of different travel services that are packaged by a tour operator to have more value or of course that entails convenience and of course um, access to important elements of tours such as uh, sightseeing tours, activities, and etc. So now we're going to discuss it further. We have the topic outline like here. So the topic of this lesson for today will be discussing the characteristic of a tour operator. So what separates a tour operator from a travel agent and vice versa. So we have discussed or we have already devoted time in discussing the elements and different characteristics of a travel agent in our prior lessons. So now it's about time to devote time for the importance and, of course, the characteristic of the tour operator. Now, of course, a tour operator could be a large travel agency that operates their own tour department so as to make it them as a tour operator. We're going to discuss also the structure of a tour department inside a large travel agency. Next. Of course, the different functions of the tour operator and sources of revenue. How does the tour operator earn its profit? And of course, how does it maintain its operation? Of course, profit is very important to any business activities and business enterprises. No? And finally, and of course, we're going to discuss the different classification of tour operators and of course, discuss the product, which is a tour package. Now, to begin, of course, let's define what is tour operator. Of course, most of you have noticed that there is a thin line or there is an ambiguity or there is a thin line of differentiation between travel agent and a tour operator. Actually, if you're not studying tourism and travel management, you're not going to find any difference at all because when you say travel agency, automatically you're thinking tour operator. When you say tour operator, that is a travel agency. So, of course, I cannot blame you because the definition adopted by different LGUs as well as the Department of Tourism is, of course, within the context that travel agency is, or, or the travel agency business could also incorporate tour operations. Okay, so basically we have that term called in our license in business permit section of your local government unit. When you secure your mayor's permit or business permit, you will have this kind of category that when you're engaged in travel agency, tour operation, or any related services, you're going to fall within this kind of category, travel and tour services. So basically, tour operation and travel agency is two in one, right? They're mixed up. Now, for the purpose of clarification, and of course, that will be essential for you since you're tourism students, and of course, you're studying travel and tour management. So it's very important for us to have a clear-cut definition of what is a tour operator and its characteristics. Okay. To begin with, a tour operator is dubbed as the assembler of travel services. So the important role of the tour operator here is to combine this single or individual travel services and make it as a value-added activity which creates tour packages. Now, of course, because of that, its main product is the tour packages. A tour packages is composed of a different single travel services that could stand alone. But of course, you combine them all to make it more meaningful. Of course, um, a good example or good analogy of that is your Noche Buena basket because you can buy fruit salad, you can buy pasta, you can buy noodles, you can buy ham and cheese individually, right? Now it creates it create less value when when you are buying them separately. When you combine them, and of course, you package them into a very beautiful basket with card and with those ribbons. So it makes or it adds additional value, or it makes more meaningful for the customer, for the consumer. So now we have the what we call Noche Buena package. So in that similar sense, you're doing that in your travel service, which is a tour package. Now, and also another characteristic of a tour operator is that the tour operator are wholesaler of travel services, and they are, again, in my previous analogy in a lesson three, which is travel management company, I have compared travel agent as a retailer, which could be equated to a sari-sari store or a 7-Eleven or Alphamart unit in your local area, in where you're going to suppose that you're going to buy for a coke, let's say you want to drink a, or you're going to have a celebration and you will need it, you are required to buy a 1.5 Coke. So you're not going to a, distributor or a uh, wholesaler of Coke products, rather than you're going to purchase your 1.5 Coke in at the convenience store or in your local sari-sari store, which makes it a retailer. Now, the retailer will get this product, or they will be sourcing this 1.5 at, of course, limited quantity through the wholesaler. So the wholesaler is basically the distributor, or they are acting as the warehouse or warehousing, where you can they are purchasing it in bulk for reselling to your sari-sari stores. So they are going to purchase truckload of 1.5 to the, of course, the producer, which is Coca-Cola. And then they're going to resell it, or they're going to distribute it case by case in the sari-sari store or into your convenience store. So that's the logic there. So you have the wholesaler, retailer, and of course, finally, the consumer, producer, wholesaler, retailer, and consumer. So that's the food chain, or that is the business chain na tinatawag. So again, as of course, the logic here is as so if the retailer is near to the consumer, so they are, of course, have this kind of power, or because they're adding value of convenience for the consumer. Now, of course, the retailer cannot purchase it in a vast amount quantity, which is required by the producer. Of course, it's useless for the producer to give a truckload of Coca-Cola products into a single sari-sari store, right? It's quite inconvenient. It will cost much. And of course, they need to pay for the transportation fee of the truck. So in that sense, they cannot cover the full expense if they do business with a sari-sari store. And this reason, they're conducting their business directly with a distributor, which will has this kind of capacity to purchase in bulk, which makes the transaction more economically efficient, and of course more favorable for the producer, at the same time favorable for the distributor, because they have a discount, or they have a wholesale price that they get for the Coke product. So now, in the same analogy, you can have that in a hotel business. The traveler could purchase the hotel directly with the hotel establishment. Of course, they will be charged with a what we call a published fare. So the published fare, or what we call it in the hotel as well, we call it rack rate. Rack rate are those fares that are published in their rack sheets, or it's published on their website. So basically, it's more expensive when they go directly with the hotel. Now, we have tour operators that have a negotiated rates, or negotiated tariff, or contracted tariff, they call it, negotiated rates, contracted tariff, or tariff for short. So these are lists of room services, or let's say room rates, that are much more cheaper when you compare it with their published rate. So it's a relatively discounted at around 40 to 50%. So around that range. So of course, that's the power of the tour operator. They can, because they are purchasing in bulk, so give me a good rate. So I will purchase 100 rooms compared with one room. Of course, there is more economic power, or there's more buying power when you purchase 100 rooms when compared with one room. So that's the reason why the tour operator will get more discount. Now, in a similar fashion, of course, that is convenient for the hotel as well because they don't want or they will be there's no problem for them anymore to look for a salesperson or to pay for a travel agent for a commission. Where in fact their rooms are already taken care of. That's 100 rooms. So it's quite convenient for the hotel as well. So that's how business operates there because there are a value chain effects. So the hotel um, sold their inventories or rooms in a very cost efficient way. The tour operator are going to package these rooms together with other travel services such as transportation company, tour guide services, meals to make it more meaningful and more enjoyable for the consumer. Now, these were going to be resale or resold or distributed to your travel agent. And this travel agent are going to contact you or they're going to retail this product directly to their clientele or to their travelers. In that sense, they're creating value for each one of the chain. Okay. So now next, I have I have here a structure or a organization structure of a tour department. Now, uh, tour operator is technically speaking, it's a large travel agency. So they are a large travel agency. They might be engaged in real retail. So they're also selling their own product. But of course, to create protection for their distributor, those we are referring to other travel agencies that are selling their travel product as well. So they're creating this kind of a published fare. So they have a published fare that these are the fare that we're going to sell to our clientele, regardless whether they are going to another travel agency comparing the price, they will have the same price. Okay, let's for example, a tour in Japan. So let's say the tour in Japan costs around 100,000 pesos. So this the published fare. So they are offering this for travel agent at a discount because they need to give commission for the travel agent to make sense of the business. Of course, if they don't give any commission to the travel agent, there is no motivation for them to sell your tour package. So they will give a at least a discount, let's say $100 discount. So whenever they sell this package, they will earn a commission of $100 for the package. So of course, the travel agent will sell it at the published fare. So they are both selling 100,000. So any whichever is the direction the traveler will go, will of course find themselves that they are selling 100 uh, 100,000 pesos tour for Japan. So kahit magpunta siya sa tour operator or travel agent, it's the same price. So that's how tour operation or tour operator works. So they are also protecting the travel agent because these are important distribution channels. If they undercut this distribution channels, they might suffer of course, at the a short term they won't suffer, but in long term, of course, the trust is I mean has been bridged. Of course, this travel agent will no longer carry your brand, so they are not no longer supporting your products, or they are going to support other competitors that may also uh, directly harm your business along the way. So that's how the operation works. So basically, you have to protect also your distribution channel because long term they are important, and of course they may cause your downfall because if they support your competitor, and of course business are really competitive in travel and tourism, they might of course result your business at for a of course not so favorable business environment. Okay. So now let's discuss this organizational structure. So you have the very big travel agency, right? So part of that travel agency is you have the tour department. So the tour manager is under the direct supervision of a general manager, which is also might be the owner of the large travel agency or a employee that is trusted by the board of directors or by the company president to manage the day-to-day affair. Basically, the tour operator or the tour manager directly reports with the general manager or the president of the company. So another term for the tour manager is the what we call Uh, they are called as tour operations manager, or basically tour manager for short. So beneath the tour manager, you will have the operations supervisor and the field supervisor. So what's the difference of the two? Operations supervisors mainly for office. They're more based in the office work. So operations supervisors supervise two important tasks, which are office based. First is the quotation. Sorry, quotation. Quotation is they are in charge of giving or soliciting proposals to their client. They are in charge of doing computing or costing the tour packages for a specific corporate account. They are in charge for developing tour packages and etc. So basically, they are in charge for the costing. So they're the one who are what we call the research and development department inside the tour department. So they are in charge of making a tour. So they are in charge of conceptualizing the tour and also pricing in the individual component of the tour. So also they are giving this quotation to their clients. So whenever the quotation is quoted, and hope of course sometimes you commit mistakes, but of course quotations are double check. So it's actually in our case it's not only just double check, triple check pa siya. Kasi you're going to this quotation are going to be scrutinized by your supervisor and then finally by the tour manager. So these are safeguards for you not to commit any mistake along the way. Because when you commit a mistake here, so let's say it's a group of 20 person and then you have finalized a quotation and then your client agreed upon with the quotation and you are misquoted at $100 difference. Of course, that is a big sum of money. So you just imagine $100 times 20 passenger, that's $2,000. So times 50, that is big sum of money, right? So in that sense, to avoid any misquotation, so there are safeguards imposed or in place to act as a quality control measure for the quotation. So quotation departments really, or the quotation officer is also very important or crucial part of the tour department. So he's the guy who creates the tour and also do the costing and gives the quotation. So wala siyang ginagawa, kundi yun lang. But in some cases, because of the, I mean, the multitasking nature of the job, so sometimes he is also in charge for the reservation. So siya na rin nagre-reserve. But of course, that will be unwise if you're dealing with a big amount of transactions. So for example, you are a big brand carrying different brands, international brands. Of course, you would want to have a different department in charge for the quotation and in charge for the reservation, just to specialize that task and also to prevent the, of course, mistake, because you have two guys who are working side by side. They could check or they can check the back of each other, of course. So reservation is in charge and dealing or the placement of tentative booking. So they are in charge for the tentative booking or pencil booking. They're in charge for advising the client for possible they have to place deposits, and they're in charge of giving these deadlines and of course confirmation of the bookings. And also they're in charge finally in finalizing the bookings. So if the client requests for the finalization of a booking, they're going to finalize the bookings. And of course, they're going to relay this with the field supervisor in of course that we have this kind of confirmed booking, and then please prefer your guides or your staff for this tour. So basically we have in office we have a very big whiteboard, so which we know which bookings are confirmed for a particular date. So there is a calendar whiteboard, so the tour reservation officer will list down that there is a group in this particular date. It's already confirmed and paid. So of course that's my when I see that, of course, I will be immediately notified that I need to coordinate or I need to assign a guide for that particular group. So that's field operation naman. So sa reservation, it's basically office work. So quotation, reservation, or the operation aspect is basically office work siya. So they are more of the back office. So they are, of course, before you finalize that, make sure that all details are complete, and of course, you have relied the finalization request to your travel suppliers. You have relied the finalization to your hotel, to your restaurant, to the bus company, to your, of course, to the tour guide. If you have the in-house tour guide, that's wonderful. If you have a freelance tour guide, you have to notify and confirm their commitment. So that's how things work. Now, for the field supervisor naman, the work of the field supervisor, as you know, is basically on the field. These are the guy who are in charge in tracking the day-to-day operation of the tour, or the delivery of the service. These are the guy who are basically in charge in implementing the design tours. So, si field supervisor para siyang overall manager ng mga tours na ino-operate ng isang company. So of course, under him, you have the tour coordinator. The tour coordinator supervise or assist the field supervisor. Basically, siya na rin ta minsan eh. So they're the guy who assists the field supervisor in placing or assigning tour guides in case that these are tour guides that are freelance, or they are assigning tour guides na in-house. And also they are in charge in proper coordination, meet and greet, etc. So for the tour guide, we have the freelance tour guide which are on call. They could be called anytime as long as there is a booking or there's a group. Or you have a in-house tour guides na nakastay in siya. So for in-house tour guide, meaning to say you have a day-to-day operation, so your salary is fixed. No? So for freelance naman, you have a minimum rate na sinusunod. So normally, the rate is around, it ranges to your capability as a guide. So if you are English-speaking guide, of course, mas less siya compared with a foreign language guides. For example, you can speak Mandarin, speak Cantonese, and of course, that will be more ano nga po, mas mahal siya. So may premium po yung language. So if you only speak English, not so much, because anybody can speak in English. Sometimes the tour coordinator also acts as the tour guide in case na, or the meet and greet guy. So whenever there is a group that you need to meet at the airport, so this guy sometimes substitute for the tour guide, especially if there is an overwhelming group na darating. So sometimes siya na rin. Okay? So, yun po. Let's now proceed with the next lesson. Okay, so the functions of the tour operator. So there are many functions of tour operators, okay, or tour operator in singular form. So I have summarized that into a limited number kasi masyado na marami, no? So the first function of a tour operator is, of course, to conceptualize and develop tour packages or tour products or tour programs for some groups. So tour packages, tour program, tour products. So basically, these are the main heart of the function of a tour operator. So our goal is to develop conceptualized tour package that are, of course, appealing to the traveler's needs and wants. So what's the needs of the traveler? Of course, the basic. They need to see the beautiful places. They need to be assured of the safety. They need to have convenient means of travel. So these are the needs. Of course, the wants naman is sometimes identify nila, sometimes hindi. For example, ano ba yung needs and wants nila? Of course, wants would be an inclusion of an opera show for European tour. Let's say yung group mo is they are more fascinated about art and culture. You might enrich your itinerary or enrich your tour program with a opera show, diba? Or if you want, you can have a backdoor pass at the Louvre Museum in Paris. So these are some of the what we call enhancement that we do in order to make your tour package unique and which of course will make your business more competitive in terms of kasi normally yung mga tour packages naman pag nakita nyo sa market yan parang pare-parehas siya eh. So parang there is a uniformity of tour package that you see along the market. Now, paano ba ma-distinguish or paano ka magiging angat sa ibang tour operator? Dalawang bagay lang naman siya. So first, you offer the cheapest rate. So if you're the cheapest rate and of course uniform naman yung store package, most people will go to you because you're the cheapest and you are, of course, uh, tour operator presents a value for money, price competitiveness. Of course, syempre hindi naman lahat ng tao or lahat ng traveler would appeal in that way. There are some traveler that are willing to spend more because they would want to get more or more quality or more service. So another way to appeal in this business is of course to create more value for your tour packages. So imbis na uniform lang, you you elevate your tour package, you include different itinerary from the rest of the marketplace. So include itineraries that are difficult to do. For example, yun nga, sinasabi ko nga, um, let's say Japan itinerary siya. You include stay in onsen. So that's quite difficult because number one, there are limited number of rooms that could be accommodated by an onsen or by a guest house or traditional ryokan in Japan, Japanese hotel or traditional ryokans. Okay, so there are limited number of rooms that they could accommodate. So of course, they are much more way expensive compared with a Western style hotel, which could accommodate more. So that is how you differentiate your product. You can offer this premium services. Of course, you can charge premium as well. But of course, syempre, kailangan establish muna natin yung brand name. So of course, brand name is also important aspect of this or important consideration when you're offering premium services. Kasi how can the client believe that you can deliver such services where in fact your brand name is not yet established? Diba? Parang ano yan eh. Another analogy dyan, my personal case would be sensory tuna, right? Sensory tuna has two main brands. You have the ordinary white label tuna, and also you have the red label or premium label tuna. So the difference is that, of course, we know Century Tuna have been around and have established their um, canning business for quite a decades. Of course, we know that they are capable of doing or they are capable of bringing services. Now, that's important consideration. Hindi lang po basta nag-offer ka ng magandang package and you price it premium and then yet hindi namin kilala kung sino ka. So of course that leaves many questions in the market. Okay. So right now, of course, syempre, karamihan ng tao or karamihan ng market natin, of course, they are more price sensitive. So the majority of the strategy right now by tour operator is to lower the price or to compete using price. Okay. There are some tour operators that are using the strategy of quality or the premium, so to attract clientele. So kanya yun nga, and that's they have to develop the brand. So kanya-kanya naman siya. Okay, next would be okay. Another function of the tour operator is of course to negotiate contracted rates. So of course, it's very important for the tour operator to extract or to enjoy or to take or to get favorable terms to your travel suppliers. Bakit? It's a two-way process. You're doing it for yourself as a tour operator because the cheaper your contracted rate, the more markup or the more profit margin you can enjoy. So basically, mas malaking kitain mo. Pag mas mura mo siya nakuha, parang buy and sell siya, no? So mas mura mo nakuha, uh, you can sell it more to your client because you can have a better margin or profit margin. Now, sa client base naman natin, that is also favorable for them because we could extend our discount or we can extend the favorable terms that we have got from the from the travel suppliers. The tour operator could extend these favorable terms to their client by costing the package cheaper or cheaper compared with their peers or competitors, no? So that in that way, so tour operator could only compete nga two ways, no? So either service or price competitiveness. So of course, kung price competitiveness ka, you have to concentrate more of negotiation. So what are techniques? Later, I will teach you how to negotiate with the hotel. So there are techniques. Okay. Next. Next. Okay, so assemble and integrate various travel components. So it's a very basic. These are the process of doing the tour package. So when we assemble them, we identify that there is a need for this particular travel services, and then we combine them to make a tour package. So that's it. Next. Deliver the tour package. Of course, these are our commitment, the brand. So tour operator also delivers the tour package. So sometimes, pero bibihira lang to there are some tour operators that also outsource their tours. But of course, the problem here is that you're not assured of their quality. So of course, you're doing the outsourcing if it's really, 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 really essential. But most cases, you won't do that because first, you want to ensure the quality of your service. Second is, of course, you want to establish your brand to your client or to your guests. Okay, so that is really, really important. Now, next. So how do you negotiate for contracted rates? Again, the term that we use, contracted rates, these are rates that are given to us by our travel suppliers such as hotel, airlines. These are special rates. These are rates that are could not be enjoyed by common people or the general public because these are contracted. It means to say there is a contract attached to these rates. So they are what sometimes we call it as tariff because tariff are of course for agents only, no? And also these are contracted rates in a sense that sometimes it's case to case basis. You have this kind of group, so they are going to offer you or they're going to quote, the hotel will going to quote a particular room rate for this particular group of people for this particular date. So again, that is a contract. So contracted rate. So how do we negotiate for the contracted rates? Okay, so the steps are relatively simple, but of course it follows this kind of logic. First, the let's say if you are an old existing well-established tour operator in the country, hindi mo na problema yan because the hotel operators or the hotels or the transport companies or the airlines will go to your business. Sila na pupunta sa inyo, sila na magpapakilala. Oh, sir, we have this kind of, sir, hello, we are new hotel here. We are, di ba? So, sila na ilalapit sa'yo. They are going to reach your, of course, they know that you're a big name in the industry. So they will offer you a very competitive rate because they know that you can bring business to their company. So of course, maganda na kagad yung ano mo, rate mo dyan. Of course, it's up to you to uh, tiny squeeze pa. Kasi syempre, you can compare them. Let's say, for example, you have a very good rates to a particular hotel which is nearby or stone's throw away lang siya or lapit lang within the locality of that hotel, new hotel that pumunta sa iyo currently. Of course, you can haggle for more discount para kasi syempre maganda na yung rate mo sa kabila, di ba? So what's the incentive of doing business with you? Number one, bago ka. Number two, hindi kita kilala. Okay. Number three, wala ka pang track record sa akin. So what's the incentive of doing business with you? Of course, by doing that, this new hotel will of course give you much more concession. So they are much more willing to give you more favorable terms. Let's say, imbes na 15 days lang credit terms mo, let's say 15 days, you can allow your guests to check in sa hotel mo and then babayaran mo siya for 15 days. They could give you 30 days. So that's a good concession. So 30 days yung pera na sa'yo. Marami ka pang pwede magawa. So that's a good concession, no? Now, in a case that you are a new tour operator or hindi ka ganun kakilala or bago, baliktad. Because the bargaining power is nasa travel suppliers, wala sa'yo. So, of course, you are much more willing to accept their terms and conditions. So, kung sinabi ni hotel, ganito lang yung rate mo, ganito yung credit terms mo, wala kang credit terms kasi hindi ka namin kilala. So pagka-check-in ng kliyente mo, bago mag-check-in yung bayad mo na advance payment. So, di ba ang laki na difference nung kanina? So kung kilala ka, pwede kang mag-credit terms. So ibig sabihin, nakakain yung kliyente mo, nakatulog na sa hotel, they have used the services, and then you paid after 30 days. So late payment siya. Of course, syempre advantage din siya sa travel agent mo because you can extend the credit terms, or so you can also extend the credit term to your client if it's a big company name or it's a corporate account, you can extend that. Now, that is not possible in case naman sa mga malilit na tour operator kasi nga, 'di ba, wala ka pa masyadong clout. So, mangyari is you accept the terms and condition of the hotel which are normally favorable for the hotel. So, of course, bago pumunta yung grupo mo, bayad muna. So, syempre, sisingilin mo na yung kliyente mo. So, ikaw, wala kang masyadong magagawa sa pera mo. So, hindi mo naman siya mapapaikot kasi nga, babayad mo kagad sa hotel. So, advance booking and advance payment because you have a big group. So, para makasure tayo na hindi ka magpa-fly or hindi ka mawawala bigla, it may incur a big loss for the hotel for that day. The hotel will require you to have a advance deposit. So, ganun siya. Ganun ang mga play dito. Ngayon, syempre, pag may advance deposit ka, syempre, di ba, parang minsan yung kliyente mo hindi pa nagbabayad. Kaya minsan napapaabono ka pa. So, minsan ganun, di ba? So, that's the problem if you are new or hindi pa well-established yung brand mo. Now, if it's well-established, so iba yung ano, di ba? Iba yung parang 360 degree yung difference. So, you see? So, that's how important is establishing a reputation and brand name in this industry because of your, maraming advantages. Okay, so let's say you're starting up, you're starting as a good tour, you're dreaming to start a tour operation business. So of course you have to introduce your name or you have to introduce your company. Normally we attach we set a meeting to the hotel sales representative or to the restaurant owner na ito yung pangalan ng aming travel agency or tour operation business. So we're being ganun explain ka together with your documents, and of course sometimes if they required so if they're letting you to have a credit terms na kagad kahit unang kita nyo pa lang, financial statements. Pero normally based on my experience ko, wala pang financial statement kasi they, mas gusto nila talaga advance payment. Kaya after the course of years, let's say you're doing this, you have already proven yourself to them for about 2 years or 3 years na okay naman, wala tayong problema, our relationship is good, they will now extend their credit terms. So dati, pay ka kaagad, ngayon 15 days credit ka. So ganun siya, ganun lang naman siya. We built rapport, mutual relationship. No? As the time progress, nakikilala ka na ng hotel. Of course, lalo na pag nagpo-produce ka ng maraming booking. Let's say, every month, merong your top performer dun sa hotel na yun. Of course, they will take care of you. So, alagaan ka nila. So, ganun siya. Okay? And of course, syempre, may mga ano yan, may mga, sometimes palibre pa ng mga sa empleyado mo. Let's say, invite ka nila. Ganyan. So, these are how tour operation works. No? It's more of a taking care of your travel supplier and of course taking care of your reputation. So your reputation mo as a credible tour operator, it will go a long way here in this type of business. Of course, it will lead to more favorable terms, more competitive rates, and of course, extra service. Let's say, we have, ito nangyari na personally sa akin. No? So, we have this kind of group na we are competing for this group. So we are for travel agencies or tour operators. We're competing for this group. And of course, syempre, the mas favorable or you're doing business with this hotel for a long, you have a very good rapport with this kind of hotel sa management niya. Of course, may priority ka. So let's say si client, gusto niya lang itong hotel na to. Ito lang kasi maganda yung location niya. And sakto, you have been a good partner of that hotel. Of course, they will prioritize you over the other tour operators na hindi masyado. Kasi kung siya yung binebenta mo, of course, safe ka na doon kasi araw-araw ka itong binebenta, di ba? Buwan-buwan tayo may deal. So, syempre, priority mo ako, di ba? Ito, pa-priority mo ba to? Ngayon mo lang nakita. Ito, nakikita mo lang to tuwing half or tuwing quarter lang siya nagpo-produce sa'yo ng grupo. Ako, buwan-buwan ako nakikita, di ba? So, mas priority ka. So, ganun siya, no? So take care of your reputation. It will be a very, very good asset in this kind of business. Okay, next. So what are the sources of revenue of a tour operator? So, paano ba kumikita or paano kitaan ng tour operator? So, the first one is, of course, you have a variable markup. So, sinabi natin variable markup because variable, depende siya sa target type, market type mo, target market. Let's say, if you're doing the Japanese market, mas mahal siya. Siyempre, di ba, yung mga Japanese, they could afford to pay more compare with Filipino market. So, Filipino market, of course, they are not so yung cost of living is relatively low, so they could afford to pay less. So of course, profit margin is not so high for the Filipino or local traveler. So if you check the hotel rates no or the tariff rates sa mga hotel, you will you will notice that there is a discrepancy of rates between foreigner and local tourists. So that's how what we call variable markup. So may iba yung rate ni hotel for foreigner at iba yung rate niya for Filipino or local guests. Eh pares lang naman yung consumption mo ng kuryente, ginamit mo, kinain mo pare-pares, di ba? So what's the reason? Diba? So yung tinatawag natin variable markup. So it's up to you to play. Diba? Ganun din sa tour package because you can charge more for US citizen compared with a of course, Chinese market. Of course, Chinese market kasi you have to play very competitive to catch up for their. But compensation mo for Chinese market is that they really in quantities. No? Pag nagpunta sila dito, talagang apat na bus siya kaagad. Pag US citizen or US market, isang bus lang siya. Pero of course, yung quality of tourist saka yung margin mo mataas. So, it's up to your play as a tour operator kung ano yung gusto mo. Next, optional tours. Now, of course, in the itinerary, you will have a free day. So these are days that could be we could suggest to our clients, especially if you're on a very scenic destination, to of course enjoy their optional tours. So normally in our business, so we offer optional tours when we say like we are in Hong Kong, Singapore, yeah, optional tours, Dubai, may optional tours. But of course, based on my experience, dahil kasi may technology na noon, kadalasan ng mga turista natin sa Hong Kong, Singapore, they no longer, of course, purchase optional tours because they could do it on their own. So, mas madali na. But way back, uh, talagang optional tours sila. Mas gusto nila yung optional tours because yun nga, wala kasing app pa eh. So they much, parang mas comfortable sila if they are going to be with a tour guide and of course with me. Kasi sasama din ako sa optional tours ko eh. Yan. So of course, kikita yung company dyan because that's additional. So besides sa binayad sa'yo ng travel agent na of course may markup ka na, dahil kayo nag-operate ng tour, pwede ka magbenta ng optional tour mismo dun sa mga kliyente ni travel agent na of course nasa inyo yan kung paano yung arrangement ni ano yan, kung meron bang part dyan si travel agent or solo mo lang. So depends pag-usap nyo. So yun, may ganun kasing dynamic. So of course kung travel agent ka, kung sabi mo maigi si tour operator, kung may partihan pa kayo, or kung wala namang ganun na mention, let's say si client nag-book diretso kay or nag-inquire diretso kay tour operator, malamang wala ka ng cut doon as travel agent kasi direct ano yun eh. So ayun, I have to kasi minsan diyan nagkakos yung away. So of course, it should be cleared out during your negotiation kung ano yung dapat gawin doon. Okay? Next. Yan, short-term interest. But this is good for those who have credit terms at 30 days and more, no? So because you have the capacity to or already use the service of the hotel and you need to pay it after 30 days. So you can, of course, you can make use of this money for short-term interest. Let's say mag-forex ka muna, invest in security or invest it in stocks. Yeah, so you will earn interest. Yeah. Yan. This one is a commission on sales generated by souvenir shops. So, hindi naman kayo nagtataka bakit lahat ng field trip natin, ang ending niya, may souvenir shop kayong bababaan. Number one, that is for the enjoyment of our guests. Hindi naman din, ano siya, no? It's it's not totally very commercialistic. Actually, may purpose siya because you allow your guests to enjoy yung kung ano yung possible na mabili. Of course, syempre, Filipinos or Asian countries like souvenirs. So talagang bibili tayo, marami tayong binibili. We love to buy something special for our loved ones. Of course, syempre may partihan dyan yung tour operator. So hindi ko na nasasabi magkano, pero depende po sa pag-uusap niyo po during your negotiation period. So let's say, punta kayo kay Kultura. Di ba si Kultura, ang dami mga foreigner na nagpupunta doon. Yan. So, syempre, si Kultura ng SM, they give commission to their tour guide, to their tour operator. So, yan. So, depende yan. Kasi, syempre, minsan kay tour guide lang dahil din nala kayo, or minsan kay tour operator, or minsan built-in na siya. May usapan na siya. Okay? So, ganon. Okay. So now let's discuss, sorry, nalindol lang, pero okay naman ako. Okay, so let's discuss the different types of tour operators. No? So actually we have 4 types. Yan, lagay ko na po. So the first one is the local tour operator, domestic tour operators, inbound tour operators, and outbound tour operators. So importante po as tourism student, alam po natin differences ng local, domestic, inbound, sa outbound. So ngayon, clarify ko po siya using this matrix that I have formulated. Okay. So first, kay local muna tayo. Local, so pag sinabi mo local, it's not, parang similar siya sa domestic, no, local. No? Pag sinabi, asa ka nag-tour? Dito lang, local tours lang. Asa ka nag-travel? Domestic tours lang. Okay. So let's differentiate the local and domestic. When say local tour operator, they are operating relatively or technically within the vicinity of a tourist spot. Let's say El Nido, let's say Palawan, let's say Sagada. So these are local tour operators that operates tour within their vicinity. Hindi sila nag-ooperate. Let's say, I'm a local tour operator sa Batanes. Hindi ako nag-ooperate ng tour sa La Union. Hindi ako nag-ooperate ng tour sa Iloilo. Hindi rin ako nag-ooperate ng tour sa Cebu. So basically, dahil ang aking forte is Batanes, nag-ooperate lang ako ng tour sa vicinity ko, which is Batanes. So you see, these are local tours are normally operated by the locals of the community. No? So of course, they are the grassroots based tourism. So basically, sila yung nakakaalam talaga. They know the ins and outs. And basically, they are contributing well to the general welfare of their community because they are generating employment for their neighbors, for their kababayan. So of course, let's support the local tour operators. No? So sila yung pinakamaliit, pero they are contributing a lot for the social economic benefit of tourism within the community. So, nakakatuwa sila. So, yun nga. So, we need to really make sure that they are, really benefiting, or let's patronize more of the local tour operators. Kasi talagang doon mo makikita yung ambag mo sa community as a tourist. Okay. Now, to further that, domestic tour operator is basically they operates within the Philippines, but they don't have a particular vicinity that they operates. Okay, so let's say I'm a local or domestic tour operator which has an office in MOA. So I sell packages in Banawe, Sagada, Batanes, etc. So basically, ang binibenta ko lang dito ay within the Philippines because I'm a domestic tour operator. So my forte is domestic tour operation, so which is Philippines. So basically, diyan mo makikita yung relationship nila, no? So relationship-wise, si local tour operator sa si domestic tour operator, nag-work siya hand in hand. Okay? Kasi si domestic tour operator, siya yung nagtatanggap ng mga bookings na, let's say, from Manila, sila yung nagbo-book, nagpa-process ng bookings ng kliyente, sila yung nagma-market, sila yung kumukubra ng bayad. Of course, yung services sa kanyang tour delivery, si local tour operator sa Batanes. Kasi wala naman silang operation sa Batanes, di ba? So, bali si domestic tour operator here sa Manila, kukontakin si local tour operator na may ganito kliyente, ganito kailangan, chuchu. So, yun na. So, basically, silang dalawang mag-uusap. And then, finally, of course, using their partnership, na-deliver naman yung travel services natin. So, now, in terms of clientele, parehas yan, no? Both local and foreign. Tapos yung market source kasi ni local dahil hindi siya masyadong nagpo-promote or they're busy in their operation doon sa vicinity niya. It's all incidental. So, I mean to say, let's say kung may naligaw na turista doon, foreigner, doon nagpa-book, yun ang market niya. Diba? Kasi yung mga local mismo sa lugar niya, sawan-sawa na makita yung St. Paul Subterranean River na yan, diba? Kasi nga, taga doon sila, diba? Sa Batanes, sawan-sawa na sila makita yung Batanes. So, ba't naman ako magpapabook pa sa isang local tour operator sa Batanes? Taga Batanes na ako, diba? So, of course, wala silang mapapala sa mga local doon. Ang mapapala nila, of course, these are all incidentals booking. Yung mga foreigner na papadpad doon, wala pang prior booking. So, sila mag-cater doon. Or another way, which is the most common, is using domestic tour operators natin. So, si domestic tour operator will catch up their booking sa Manila kasi Manila, Cebu, Davao, these are main points. So, ito yung mga major cities natin. So, they're going to process the booking. Of course, they will send it to their local operator counterpart. Let's say, sa Palawan, may local operator counterpart sila doon. So, papadala lang nila doon. So, ano value ni domestic tour operation is yung pagpaprocess ng booking, pagtanggap ng payment. Yung value ni local tour operator, sila yung nag-i-implement mismo ng tour. So, that's how things work. No? Now, next, inbound and outbound. So, basically, sa inbound and outbound, you will see the difference is basically, sa inbound, Philippines yung area of operation. Sa outbound is abroad. Diba? Ano abroad? Bakit abroad? Okay, kasi ganito siya. Pag sinabing inbound, so inbound is yung company or yung tour operator nasa Philippines. Pero yung nationality of client niya, tignan nyo, foreign. So mean to say, yung kliyente niya nanggagaling sa ibang bansa, papasok ng Philippines. So kaya siya tinawag na inbound because yung traffic galing sa ibang bansa papuntang Philippines. So inbound siya, 'di ba? If you watch my video sa Anatomy of Journey, you will have noticed yung term natin Anatomy of Journey, di ba? May inbound sector sa outbound sector. O yan. So gets yun na yun. So si inbound, because yung kliyente galing sa outside, papasok siya sa Philippines, which is what we call inbound. So it's an inbound movement. So we call this tour operator as inbound tour operator. So ano yung binebenta niya? Ang binibenta niya is Philippines. Wala siyang binibenta abroad because galing nga sa abroad yung kliyente niya, di ba? So, si Philippines, ang binibenta niya, okay, market source niya is abroad. So, let's say, I'm an inbound operator. Ang binibenta ko yung Manila, Cebu, Boracay, Bohol, Palawan, Batanes. Kanino? Indian market, Russian market, Japanese market, Chinese market, Korean market. So, these are what we call ito yung mga foreigners, no? So one good example of this inbound tour operator is Raja Tours. So it's a very good, very well-established tour operator in Manila. So Raja Tours. So it's a good example of inbound. Next, okay. Inversely, outbound naman, from Philippines going outside. Philippines going outside. So meaning to say, these are Filipino, yung client nila, these are local Filipinos or mga foreign residents na sa Philippines that who want to travel abroad. So these are outbound. So market source niya is within the Philippines. Pero ano yung binibenta niya? Ang binibenta niya is of course yung mga different or what we call outbound or mga international packages. Let's say, Korea, Japan, China, Singapore, Hong Kong. Kanino? Sa mga Pilipino saka sa mga foreign residents na nakatira sa Philippines. Diba? So, ganun siya. So, again, what's the difference of inbound and outbound? The difference is that inbound is yung binibenta niya is Philippines. So, we have packages like Boracay, Cebu, Bohol, Batanes. Kanina binibenta for foreigners like Chinese market, for foreigners na Japan, Russian, American foreigners, yan. So, ganun siya. So, saan siya nag-ooperate? Sa Philippines. Okay. Now, si outbound naman, similar fashion, ano binibenta? International packages. Macau, Singapore, Japan, Korea. Kanyang binibenta? Filipino and local residents or mga foreign residents inside the Philippines. Now, base of operation sa Philippines. Okay. So you see the difference? Okay. Again, for local and domestic, klaro naman siya, no? Si local, within the vicinity on a tourist spot mismo. Si domestic, they are basically a large processing, para mga, what we call it, mga catch basin sila or parang tinatawag ng mga, ano, mga booking center sila because they are offering domestic tour package. Okay. For anyone in the Philippines, no? So, um, nag-walk-in si kliyente doon, o then benta. So, bebenta nila, papasa nila kay local tour operator. Now, sir, pwede ba ako maging domestic tapos inbound ka pa ako? Pwede. So, ano lang naman to, it's categorical, it's theoretical framework, pero sa tunay na buhay, pwede kang maging local tour operator at the same time inbound ka, or pwede ka maging domestic tour operator, inbound ka pa, domestic ka na, outbound ka pa, so bala ka. Kasi yung lisensya mo naman or yung license natin to operate anything, 'di ba? Anything that concerns about travel services. So wala kang limitation. You can do everything under the sun. But of course, the problem is specialization lang. Saka syempre, yung training mo sa empleyado. Okay? So yun po. Next. Okay, there are two types of tour package. We have the regular package and ad hoc tour package. So simple lang naman po yung definition niya, no? So I have the definition here, so you can read that. But of course, uh, to put that in a very simple context, pag sinabi regular tour package, ito yung mga, kung sa damit yan, ito yung mga ano, ready-made or ready to wear dress or ano pa siyang ready to wear dress na. So nakasukat na siya, standard na siya. You have small, medium, large, and extra large. Kumbaga sa ano sa tour package, ito yung mga packages na alam mo nang hinahanap na ng kliyente. So naka-prefix na siya. So ibig sabihin, pag pupunta ka ng Hong Kong, ito na yung standard package mo. Pag pupunta ka ng Macau, ito na. Korea, ito na. Japan, ito na. So meron ka ng standard package. So basically, ano lang na may deviation natin dyan. No? So you have the standard package na pwede mo siyang i-offer kahit kanino. So, yun lang. Napakadali. Now, ad hoc naman, yung tailor-made. So, ibig sabihin, syempre ayaw mo gusto mo mag-personalize, gusto mo may dagdag ka pa. So, magte-tailor-made tayo. Para sa tour package siya, ita-tailor natin siya specifically to the needs and wants ng kliyente or ng grupo. Now, of course, sa tunay na buhay naman siya, ang practice natin, syempre may template ka. Yung template mo yan, regular tour package siya. Ngayon, paano mo iti-tailor-made yan? Iti-tailor-made mo na, let's say, babaguhin mo lang yung tour. Let's say, ayaw nga ng half-day city tour. Tanggalin mo yun. Dagdag mo yung isang optional tour mo. Di yun na. Diba? Kasi, ano lang naman yun eh. Diba? Parang merong half-day city tour, ayaw niya. Gusto niya may ibang activity na gawin. Yung activity na yun, kasama siya sa isang optional tour. Tanggalin mo yung half-day city tour, ayaw niya eh. Palit may optional tour doon. Di ganun lang. So basically, napakadali na ng buhay natin. So, ad hoc tour is basically tailor-made. Yung regular tour natin are standard or yung ating ready-to-wear or kumbaga sa damit, ready-to-wear na siya. Okay? So, but the same thing, yung ready-to-wear mo, ina-adjust mo lang siya para maging ad hoc siya. Okay? Next. These are some terminologies or labels that we use in describing tour packages. Kasi pag sinabi ng package, akala nila ganun lang. May mga categories siya or may mga labels. Okay. So first, ito yung pinakasimple, no? So we have the ground arrangement package. So bakit ground? Kasi pag sinabi mong ground, ito lang naman, let's say, demanding aeroplano, okay, demanding. Anong gagawin ng turista doon? Pwede kasi yung turista, maalam na. So, hindi ko na kailangan service mo. I can book my own plane and I can book my own hotel. So, what I need from you, Argel, is I need you to book me or to arrange a meet-up or transfer service dun sa lugar ko kung saan may susundo sa akin sa hotel and vice versa pag pauwi na ako. So, I need that service. And of course, syempre, masaya din ako if we can arrange a half-day city tour or city tour. Okay. So that is what we call ground arrangement. So it's only including the hatid sundo sa airport, hotel, and vice versa, or sa pier, whatever, or any place within the destination na gusto niya pumunta. Okay. Normally, airport, hotel, airport, pier, hotel, per airport, ganun lang naman yan eh. Tours, okay, could range from yung sightseeing tours or yung mga optional tours natin. So basically, that's ground arrangement. No hotel, no airfare, no transportation. Okay. Next, land arrangement. So land arrangement, medyo familiar na tayo, no? So when you go to PTA Travel Expo, meron siyang package or tour package which includes air ticket na, okay? Or land arrangement only, may LA/A or only, no? Land arrangement only. So what do you mean by land arrangement only? So everything is taken care of except transportation. So yun siya. May kasama na siyang transfer, tours, accommodation, tertiary hotel, of course some meals. It could include normally we include breakfast, daily breakfast sa hotel, and sometimes we include lunch if the tour is a full day. Kung half day lang siya, wala. So basically, bahala ka sa buhay mo. So that's LAN arrangement. So LAN arrangement po ang tawag. So what is missing with the LAN arrangement is the yung air component niya or yung transportation component. If you're traveling by sea or by air, so yun po, yun ang missing. Now, ground and land. So parang ground and land. Pag sinabing ground, may magsusundo lang talaga tapos may magtutour. Pag land, of course, the land component of your travel, which includes the hotel, the transfer, the meals, the sightseeing tours, yan. So that's the land. Now, if you want a complete package, yung talagang package yung sinasabi natin, if we're dealing with, gusto ko package na. Pag sinabi kong tour package, ito na yon. Land arrangement kasi is not a tour package, it's just parang, hindi pa siya kompleto, no? Parang lang yan, walang air ticket eh, land arrangement lang. So basically, label lang siya. But of course, we're selling land arrangement kasi ang advantage niya is, of course, if your client has this air ticket now or they're traveling with mileage or they would want to purchase it on a different aircraft or different airlines. So at least may option sila if they could purchase it land arrangement lang kasi mas mura kapag land arrangement. Mas makakamura ako pag ganito airline. So of course, they have that kind of option to do that. Now, kung ayaw na lang may intindihin sa buhay nila, inclusive tour package or also known as simply as tour package. Okay, inclusive siya because everything is already taken care of, including your transportation. So, di ba sa land arrangement walang transportation, wala kang aeroplano, wala kang ticket, wala kang sea transportation kung magagaling ka sa sea. Okay. So dito, normally kasama na po yung round trip air ticket which is included in the costing of your tour package. Now, another elevated naman, ito na, syempre mas mahal na to because there is extra value or extra service. It's what we call the inclusive escorted tour package or also known simply as escorted tours or yung may kasama kang escorted. Okay, so basically, bakit siya nagmahal? Because you have to shoulder the cost of bringing in a tour escort to your group. Of course, yung tour escort, makakain, matutulog yan. Sweldo niya siya. Kasi nga, ano ba purpose niya? Ang purpose niya kasi, it makes your group more comfortable and it makes your trip more manageable because the tour escort is also the tour leader kasi siya po ang haharap sa mga problema ninyo kung makaka-encounter kayong problema during your trip. No? So, importante po siya. So ngayon, normally, kailan ba tayo nagkakaroon ng escorted tour? Sa Philippine market, karamihan siya, if your tour is group tour siya, tapos group tour, tapos based ka normally sa pilgrimage, so may hindi lang escort ang kasama mo, may kasama ka pang chaplain, pare. So you have to shoulder the stipend ng pare, yung kanyang gagastusin or kanyang of course, basic necessity niya during the travel. So that adds to the cost. But of course, it adds value din, di ba? May kasama kang pare during your pilgrimage sa Jerusalem and Rome. So that's a good plus factor to the experience. Now, another is yung mga escort tours natin sa Europe. Of course, syempre sa Europe kasi they're not speaking, they speak English, but of course, not all people could speak good English. So you need to have somebody who will take care of the group. So just to make sure that everything's okay. So yun nga, tour escort siya. So escorted tour group siya. And normally, May mga company tayo dito sa Philippines na nag-offer na all Filipino group kasi meron tayong escorted tour package pero ino-operate po siya globally. So meaning to say, may iniipon siyang grupo ng mga tao, for example, Globus, Trafalgar, and let's say Contiki. So may iniipon siyang group ng tao na of different nationality yan. Tapos may tour escort siya, tour escort, mabubulol tuloy tour escort na of course it's a foreign nationality rin, no? So of course multi-nationality group yan. So yan. So syempre mas komportable tayo bilang Pilipino na yung kasama ng group sa atin are kapwa Pilipino. So at dito naman pumapasok yung niche ng mga Filipino tour operator sa Europe, no? So there are outbound tour operator na based sa Philippines na catering for Filipinos. So yun ang advantage nila. Kaya they could really facilitate these trips kasi nga may mga Filipino traveler na gusto pumunta ng Europe, ayaw nilang sumama sa mga ibang lahi dahil ayaw lang nila or mas komportable sila sa mga Pilipino. So, may ganyan tayo mga tours. No? Okay? Next. So, another terminology, more fun. So, pag sinabing transportation, it refers actually to the air tickets, sea tickets, or yung ating cruise ships. Yan. So, these are basically, transportation is the mode on how you bring your tourists to their destination or back to their origin. So it could be by land, by sea, or by air. So you can use by land normally by rail, okay? By sea using cruise ships, no? Pag air, kadalasan talaga air naman, air ticket. Next, transfer. Transfer refers to the movement. So ito yung transfer is a movement around the tourist or the movement around the place refers to the means to move around the tourist inside the destination. So one example of that would be transportation is when there is a flight from Manila to Tokyo. So Manila Tokyo, that's transportation. Now from Tokyo Airport going to your hotel, that's transfers because there is a movement around the tourist destination. Movement lang naman siya within the tourist destination, which is called Japan. So any movement there, you may consider that as transfer. Pero syempre, kung sasakay ka na ng aeroplano again, transportation siya again. Okay? So ganun lang naman yan. Next is sightseeing tour. Obvious naman. So sightseeing tour includes the services of a tour guide, plus meals. Kung full day siya, you have to include lunch or dinner. Tapos of course, it includes the entrance ticket. They will specify if it's included or not. For some, kasi may mga tour na na hanggang gate lang. Okay, dito lang tayo. Discuss siya sa gate lang. Yan, kung gusto niyo pumasok, you will have to pay ganitong amount. Then you go inside. And then I will wait you here in this spot for about, gagano pa siya, 1 hour. So, pasok sa loob, di ba? So, ngayon, state naman nila kung kasama yung entrance ticket o hindi. So, normally, sinasama na siya. Next is accommodation. Normally, it refers to your hotel. Okay. Wala naman po kasing gumagamit ng mga inns, pension, hostel sa tour operations. Lalo na pag international. Kasi gusto natin standard service. Kasi pag hostel or pension, hindi naman sa panlalait or pang ano. Kasi these are parang these are parang household or small enterprises or they are medyo maliit na business or micro business. So sometimes yung rigor ng quality standard hindi nila nami-meet, especially when you're dealing with foreigners. No? Kasi sa foreigners, maarte yan. So of course, they are used to the standard ng international brands. So mas gusto nila, ganun yung standard nila. Diba? So pag local naman, tingin ko tolerable. Pero kung foreigner siya, let's say you're dealing with the American market, Japanese market, you go for the hotel. For the hotel talaga. Kasi another thing din naman, another restrictions or another consideration din, but we don't use hostels, pensions, or inns sa ating business is because yung capacity din ng establishment to accept bookings. No? So, syempre, kung hostel naman is 10 rooms lang siya, tapos you are bus loaded of tourists, ma-accommodate ba? So, you have to spread them around. Ang problema, if you spread them around, you spread also the cost of transportation and coordination, diba? So, that's quite difficult on the part of the tour operator. Okay? So, next. Tour escort. So again, that's my job when I'm joining the group. Okay. Tour escort is basically a company representative. For my case, I'm representing the company of the tour who will travel with the clients from the point of origin. So mag-appear na ako sa NAIA, babalik ulit ako. Ang trabaho ko hindi matatapos hanggang sa NAIA. Hindi nakakaalis sa NAIA ang kliyente. Hindi nakakabalik sa NAIA. Hindi nakakalabas sa gate. So pag hindi nakalabas sa gate ng mga kliyente ko, hindi pa tapos yung aking trabaho. So let's say na-hold sila sa airport, na may problema sila sa, let's say pauwi na-hold sila sa airport kasi nakalimutan yung maleta, or na-hold sila dahil hindi nakapag-declare ng tax declaration. Mga those things, I need to assist them kasi nga that is still my job. So your job as a tour escort is you have to assist the client on the onset of their appearance sa airport at pagbalik. Habang hindi nakakaalis pa siya sa door ng airport, your job is not completed. So we also known as what we call tour leaders. Kasi we are the one who decides what's good for the group. Now, if it's a corporate account, let's say corporate, ano siya, corporate sponsored trip. So of course, yung corporate representative, siya talaga yung tour leader. Ako yung assistant niya. Kasi whenever yung kung ano gusto ng corporate leader, susundin ko. Kasi ako yung company representative ng travel agency or tour operator na nag-assist or nag-create ng booking. So ako makipag-coordinate dun sa local guides. So ganun siya. Okay? So now more terms pa. So, okay, duration, when we refer to duration sa tour packaging, we're referring to the number of nights. Bakit nights? The logic here is because the hotel is charging you per night. Hindi naman siya per hour. Okay. So, kung motel yan, per hour. Kung hotel, per night. So, the hotel will charge you accordingly to nights. So, again, international check-in time is 2 o'clock and international check-out time is 12. So, meaning to say, dun yung cut-off time mo. Let's say, ikaw nakapag-check-in ka ng 11. So, 11, syempre, ang per night naman ang bayad mo. So, regardless kahit anong oras ka mag-check-in, basta number of nights are consistent na 2 nights siya. Of course, 2 nights ang payment mo. So, kasi per room per night kasi basis sa hotel. So, let's say, nag-check-in ka ng 11 at may available na room, early check-in, okay yun, walang charge yun. Okay. Now, if wala talaga available room, so you have to wait for 2 o'clock. So, that's the problem here. Kasi nga, ang official, official check-in time kasi is 2. Check-out is 12. The same thing for 12. So, pag inalaw ka naman nila late check-out, let's say late check-out at 2, wala siyang bayad. Pero kapag syempre, kung 6 p.m. ka, late check-out 6 p.m., mukhang magbabayad ka na ng one night because, di ba, ang cut-off natin 2 p.m. So, you have to be mindful as well. So, yun siya. So, again, for tour packaging, our counting of duration is per night. Hindi po siya per day, hindi po siya per hour, but per night. So, ang night din po natin is spelled out as NITES, nights. Okay, so that's the jargon that we use in the industry. Next is hotel category. So hotel category here that we commonly use is, of course, deluxe, first class, standard, economy. Oftentimes it's easier for international sa outbound based on experience. Star, 5-star, 5, 4, sometimes 4.5 pa, may 4, may 3. O yan. So pag European system ka, of course, Diamond system. So, regardless, it's same. So, basically, mas madali nga yung dati, deluxe, first class, standard, economy. Alam mo na kaagad. Okay? There is a, what we call, gauge of quality na you can base upon. Next, of course, the meal plan. So, meal plan, if we're stating European plan, no meal, room only. So, let's say European plan. So, sa hotel, wala siyang pagkain, bahala siya sa buhay niya because yun ang plan niya. Okay. Now, normally for Filipino, we hate this kind of arrangement. So we arrange it bed and breakfast plan. So for the standard package, it includes bed, the hotel accommodation plus daily breakfast sa hotel. So again, we hate to have breakfast outside the hotel. Now, if you're dealing or if you're having business with Hong Kong, Singapore, Of course, yung breakfast inside hotel is separated or we quoted it or kino-quote siya separate kasi syempre medyo pricey. Now, for other destination, let's say Korea, Japan, kasama siya. Vietnam kasama. Uh, Macau kasama siya. Kasi medyo hindi naman ganun kamahal yung hotel. Or for Japan and Korea, in their case, mas mura pa rin pag mag-breakfast ka na sa hotel. Kasi nga, ganun din pag labas mo na restaurant, the price is the same. So, mas convenient sa'yo. For the case of hotel in Hong Kong and Singapore, we're quoting it separately para may option pa yung client. And of course, traditionally, may practice na siya. So, ganun. Bed and breakfast plan. Now, if you're dealing with full board, we're talking here all breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's full board. So, normally, it happens for incentive groups, company-sponsored trips. So all breakfasts are included, all lunch are included, and all dinner are included. Okay. So normally, when we quote, we don't include yung breakfast or yung whatever the food included on board. So hindi po siya kasama para hindi malito yung kliyente. Okay. Next is we have the half board plan. So half board or ano siya, it's a variation of full board. So let's say you can have all breakfasts, no lunch, but all dinners. Also, pwede rin all breakfast, no lunch, with lunch but no dinner. Kasi nga, the advantage of half board is kung gusto mag-explore ng kain or ng gastronomy si client, they could do so. Kasi nga, syempre, if if your food is already included in your itinerary, syempre parang ikaw, manghinayang ka, diba? So, hindi ka na mag-explore. Kain na lang ako dun sa sa company-sponsored meals or dun sa plan ko. Kasi syempre bayad na, diba? So, pag half board naman, of course, you have the choice to explore or to become a food tourist or to enjoy gastronomy ng destination mo. So that's one advantage. Now for breakfast, there are different types of breakfast, but these are the commonly used. No, we have continental breakfast. These are English or what we call the European breakfast. So it's include coffee, tea, bagels or bread, tapos butter and jam. So ganun lang siya kasimple. So tinapay lang siya, may jam, may margarine, or, sorry, hindi pala margarine, butter, okay? Butter, jam, and of course, yan. So, yun siya. Sometimes pancake, nalagay nila. Now, American breakfast, okay, your continental breakfast upgraded kasi meron siyang sausage, meron na siyang egg, and meron na siyang bacon. So, pwedeng bacon siya, egg, or sausage and egg. So, that's American breakfast. Oriental breakfast, Chinese siyan. It's more of lugaw. So lugaw all you can. So may bowl ka, may lugaw, and then you mix and match your dippings and your condiments. Filipino breakfast, alam niyo na yung kumakain ka niyan. Okay? We have the tapa and tocino and longganisa. Now, of course, when you're arranging breakfast, not to complicate things early in the morning, it's advisable, kasi ako based on my experience, pag group siya, buffet nyo na lang. Wala kayong problema. Kasi bakit? The advantage of a buffet, breakfast especially, okay, is of course, you have the options. There are choices. So, hindi mo na problema kung si client ay allergic sa ganito. Hindi mo na problema kung si client ayaw kumain ng ganito. Eh, marami kang choice dun eh. So, bahala ka sa buhay mo, di ba? You're giving them the power to choose what's good for you. Now, when you're arranging group, though ang implication lang ng buffet breakfast costing kasi mas mahal talaga siya. But for convenience and peace of mind ng group, buffet breakfast or mga buffets natin, I think that will be more ideal. Kasi ako talaga pag nag-arrange ako ng meals for your group, palaging buffet. Bakit? Kasi it adds value. Kasi parang feeling ng grupo, palagi silang busog. Saka syempre, wala nang arte yan. Let's say vegan ako. O, sige, kumuha ka ng pang vegetarian food or pang vegan food. So, those things. So, mas madali mo siyang may handle. Unlike yung plated siya or limited set menu, medyo you have to ask, sino po ba dito vegetarian, sino hindi vegetarian, sino po yung allergic sa chicken, allergic sa may food allergy po, etc. So those things, which might complicate things pa. Okay? So, Pinakamadali, buffet. Okay? Next. Types of sightseeing tour. So basically, we're talking here the duration. No? So half-day city tour, it's half-day. So technically, these are 6 hours and less. Full-day sightseeing tours these are 8 hours to 10 hours. So basically, they include lunch. Kasi ang full-day city tour natin, they normally start at the morning. They end at the evening. So, may include dinner or otherwise kung stated siya. Pero in most cases, it includes lunch. Now, for half-day city tour, it could operate both in morning or afternoon. So, depende yan sa araw. Pag wala na araw, yan na. So, syempre, start kayo sa lasang init, tapos mainit tanghali na, and then post muna, and then start the afternoon tour at 4. Okay? Tapos yun na, sunset tour ba. Next, we have the optional tours. These are tours that are not included in the itinerary that the client needs to pay. Either you pay it in advance, you pay it with your travel agent in advance, or you paid on the spot during your tour. So, ganun siya. So, one example of optional tours is if your tour does not include a Disneyland ticket or Disney tours to Tokyo Disneyland or Tokyo Disney Sea. So, normally it's optional tours na ginagawa. Okay? Now, if it's already included, masaya. So, syempre, may commission si travel agent. Diba? Okay? Now, okay. So, to end this lesson, so, what do you think or what the type of tour operator do you think has the most advantage? Okay. So, what are the type of tour operator do you think has the most advantage? Diba, may apat tayong types. We have the local, domestic, and we have the inbound and outbound. So now, and besides that, to follow-up question, so ano sa tingin nyo kaya yung mas appealing na tour package? Yung regular or ad hoc? Diba? So anyway, you have noticed naman din na parang sa practice talaga sa tunay na buhay, no? Parang hindi naman nagkakala yung regular sa ad hoc. Kasi yung regular, doon ka rin naman nagbe-base. Okay? So yun lang, pakisagot na lang po yung ating dalawang question if you really understand the lesson for today. And of course, don't forget to comment, suggest if you have other issues to discuss with or any questions that you need to further clarify. Of course, you have subscribe po tayo para mas masaya po. And of course, if you find this video very useful to you, particularly in your study, you might share it with your friends or with your colleagues or your classmates or anyone who knows that you are currently studying travel and tour management. Okay, so maraming salamat. Thank you very much and have a blessed day po. Salamat.